A general education classroom contains students with variety of backgrounds, learning styles and abilities. It is difficult for a teacher to individually attend each student and provide instruction. In such condition, the teacher can use some specific techniques or strategies in the classroom which helps learning more easy. These techniques are known as teaching strategies. Teaching strategies refer to the methods or techniques that a teacher uses during instruction that helps the students in learning. Teaching strategies identify the different available learning methods to enable them to develop the right strategy to deal with the target group identified. There are number of teaching strategies which address the needs of students from various backgrounds, learning styles and abilities. These strategies create an inclusive learning environment in which the students get equal opportunity to learn. Some of the strategies commonly used in our classrooms are peer tutoring, cooperative learning, reflective teaching and multisensory learning. Peer tutoring is an instructional strategy that helps a special need child in the inclusive classroom to access the general education curriculum. It is a student teaching student strategy. In peer tutoring, pupils learn together, usually in pairs. Typically, a bright student is linked or paired with a low achiever. The idea of peer tutoring is not a new concept. It has a rich history dating back thousands of years. Many teachers in different times and places have used some or other forms of peer tutoring. Peer tutoring in its simple form involves a student helping another student in learning a skill or task. There are two types of peer tutoring: incidental peer tutoring and structured peer tutoring. Incidental peer tutoring occurs naturally whenever children are cooperating in social or academic activities and one guide the other. It may be a kind of incidental peer tutoring. In a classroom, one student help another student to solve a math problem and learn the method or formula to solve that problem from the particular student is an example of incidental peer tutoring. Structured peer tutoring refers to peer tutoring implemented for specific subject or for specific individuals, and it follows a well structured plan prepared by the teacher. There are different ways to pair students. It is known as the methods or approaches in peer tutoring. The best known methods are class-wide peer tutoring, reciprocal peer tutoring, cross-age peer tutoring, same-age peer tutoring. Class-wide peer tutoring is a peer-mediated instructional strategy in which the entire class is divided into small groups and group members are paired. In each pair, one student acts as the tutor and the other as the tutee. This strategy is based on group reinforcement techniques and engages the entire classroom at the same time. Sometimes class-wide peer tutoring use reciprocal peer tutoring strategy in which the same student can act as the tutor's and tutee's role. The tutoring program happens during regular class periods. The main benefit of this method is that the entire classes actively take part in the learning process. Research has proved that class-wide peer tutoring is a flexible, easy to implement, cost effective and provides an interesting and easy way to teach and learn. Class-wide peer tutoring is effective for children with mild disabilities in the inclusive classrooms. Reciprocal peer tutoring is a peer tutoring method in which the students alternate between the role of tutor and tutee. Reciprocal peer tutoring utilizes a structured format and individuals and group rewards are used to motivate the learners. This model facilitates the involvement of the students in preparing instructional materials, and they are responsible for monitoring and evaluating their peers' progress on the selected goal. Cross-age peer tutoring is a peer teaching program in which the tutor helps the tutee to learn or practice a skill. The tutor and the tutee are usually about 2 or more years apart from each other. The older student serves as the tutor and the younger one as tutee. In this model, there is no change in the position of tutor and tutee. This strategy has been shown to be effective for populations of all ages and disabilities. In this peer tutoring model, students in the same age level studying in same class are involved. Usually in same age tutoring, a high achiever is paired with a low achiever. It is the common peer tutoring method practicing in our schools. The first step is the identification of specific objective. The selected objective or task may be related to academic subjects or social skill. The objective should be set based on the student's strengths and needs. The second step is to choose the tutoring partner. Once the task is fixed, the next step is to select the tutor and tutee. Teachers should select partners who will work together well. Is to establish the rules for the tutoring program. It may include the procedure, time schedule, interactions between the students, whether good and bad behaviors, materials to be used, and the specific activities to be undertaken. Make each pair aware about the rules and also their roles and responsibilities. Implementation of peer tutoring program. The actual training started and the students do their roles as a tutor and tutee. During the training, the tutor gives timely feedback to the tutee. The next step is monitoring. Continuous monitoring is necessary for the success of the program. This helps to modify the program, its rules and procedures if necessary. The final step is evaluation. Through evaluation, we can measure the effectiveness of the program. Usually, peer tutors are selected on the basis of their academic ability, leadership quality, and their character and communication skills. The primary role of the tutor is to assist the tutee to learn academic skills. The main responsibilities of a tutor are attend the class daily, train tutee according to the teacher's instruction, be a good role model, provide corrective feedback, meet the supervising teacher and get instructions, follow the rules established for the program. In general, peer tutoring results in academic improvement. Through peer tutoring, the students get opportunities to practice selected skills which results in better retention. Peer tutoring helps to develop a relationship between the tutor and the tutee, thus helps to improve their social skills. The class teacher gets more time to plan for her classroom activities. Peer tutoring helps tutors to develop a sense of pride, increase academic mastery, develop leadership quality, increase self-esteem and self-confidence, develop a sense of responsibility, develop empathy, actively participate in learning activities, increase social skills. Peer tutoring helps tutees to get individual instruction, learn according to their pace, get close monitoring, get immediate feedback, develop social skills, develop a sense of responsibility, improve in academic subjects, develop values of cooperation and respect. Peer tutoring has become increasingly popular in recent years because it is easy to implement and can address both the academic and social needs of low achieving students. All students need to learn and work in environments where their individual strengths are recognized and individual needs are addressed. All students need to learn within a supportive community. As the students interact each other, they learn more. Cooperative learning is instructional strategy in which children learning together in structured groups. Students in cooperative learning groups are differ in abilities. They are responsible for their own learning as well as the group members' learning. Cooperative learning is an instructional strategy which involves students working together in small groups to accomplish shared goals. Cooperative learning helps to actively engage more children in learning than the traditional lecture method. Through cooperative learning, the teacher can engage the whole class in active learning. Cooperative learning encourages students to support their classmates. Cooperative learning helps to improve the motivation of many students because through cooperative learning, more students can get the opportunity for academic success. In cooperative learning, the size of the groups depends on team, TEAM. T for time limits, E for experience working in group, A for age, and M for materials and equipments available. The key elements of cooperative learning are positive interdependence, individual accountability, promotive interaction, social skills, and group processing. In positive interdependence, while involved in group activities, the students perceive that they are linked with the group mates and they cannot succeed unless their group mates cooperate or do their task. Hence, develop a positive interdependence that means each student is responsible for his or her own activity and also responsible for others. So, they coordinate their efforts with the efforts of their group members to complete the task. Individual accountability is an essential component of cooperative learning. The success of the group depends on the performance of every group members. Each one is responsible for completing their task. That means each member is individually accountable for completing his or her part in the group activity. A promotive interaction is needed for a successful group activity. Group members should develop a positive interrelationship and interaction. Each group member should be ready to exchange their resources and provide timely feedback in order to improve their continuing performance on task. Group members encouraging and facilitating each other's efforts to complete the assigned task. Social skills are any skill that facilitates interaction and communication with others. Good interpersonal skills and group skills are needed for learning in groups. The skills include listening skill, turn taking, sharing task, accepting responsibility, democratic decision making, proper communication skill, accept other abilities and drawbacks, and ability to resolve conflicts. The group members get to know each other and trust each other. Group processing in cooperative learning is a kind of reflective practice. In group processing, the group members discuss and find out which member's activity is helpful and which is unhelpful. They make decisions about what actions to be continued and what actions to be changed. Group processing helps to clarify and improve the effectiveness of contribution of the members to make the group work success. There are three main types of cooperative groups. These are informal learning groups, formal cooperative groups, and cooperative based groups. Informal learning groups are the groups for very short period and not very structured. Informal learning group can form for quick activities like quick problem solving, summarizing, or review a lesson. Formal learning groups are assigned a task or a project and the group members stay together until it completes. It is a structured group set by the teacher. Each group consists of 4 or 5 students and they cooperate with each other and complete the task. Cooperative based groups are long-term cooperative learning groups with stable membership. Typically, cooperative based groups are heterogeneous in membership. They meet regularly and last for the duration of the class, usually for a semester or year. Cooperative learning increase academic learning, time spent on learning tasks, student retention, student motivation to learn, critical thinking ability, self-esteem and self-confidence, cooperation among students, communication skills, peer relationship, social skills, interest towards learning. Reflection is a metacognitive strategy that helps individuals to think critically upon their experiences, actions, and decisions. Reflective teaching is a method where teachers think over their teaching practice. Reflective practice help a teacher to have a deeper understanding of his or her teaching styles, teaching beliefs, and teaching identities. As they think over their teaching practice, they will better understand their roles as a teacher. Through reflective teaching, teachers are able to understand what areas might be improved or changes for better learning outcome. This practice encourages lifelong learning and continuous professional development. Reflection on their teaching practice also helps teacher to develop their emotional intelligence. The process of reflective teaching includes observation and data collection, peer observation, video recorder, self-report, keeping journal, action research. For reflective teacher, the teacher should recollect or remember their teaching event. The evidence or data can be collected through In this, teachers work as small groups or pairs and observe each other's classes and critically evaluate. Teacher record his or her own class. After the class, check the video and analyze the teaching practice. Teacher prepare a report on his or her own teaching and critically thinking about the methods and strategies used in each class. A reflective journal is a personal account of an educational experience like a personal diary. So, if the teacher has the habit of writing the journal about all the events related to his or her teaching practice, it is also a source of collection of evidence for reflective thinking. After collecting the evidence, analyzing it and identify the problem, make the problem more concrete and do research on it. Through different activities like talk to colleagues, attend refresher programs, read books or articles, and review self-report, the teacher can make an action plan to get over the problem. Reflective teachers are ready to accept their drawbacks and freely questioning their way of teaching, always trying to improve their teaching, having a deeper schemata or mental representation of teaching practice, having a good pedagogical and reasoning skills, good decision maker in classroom, good at improvisation in the classrooms. They know what can influence learning outcome. Every student learns differently. Each one has a specific learning style. Learning style refers to the preferential way in which the student perceive and retain knowledge. There are four primary learning styles: visual, auditory, tactile, and kinesthetic. Visual learners mainly use the sense of vision for learning. Such children use graphs, diagrams, models, charts, or pictures. Auditory learners are the children who mainly use their auditory sense for learning. They learn well through lectures, songs, rhymes, audiobooks, and other auditory techniques. Tactile learners learn through feel and touch. They are hands-on learners. Kinesthetic learners learn through movement or doing things. They learn better when doing or physically participate in that activity than listening a lecture or watching demonstrations. There is a Chinese proverb: tell me, I will forget. Show me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I will understand. The proverb expresses the importance of multisensory learning. Multisensory teaching or multisensory approach simply means using more than one sense for learning. The combined use of different senses enables the students to have meaningful perceptual experiences. There are some students who have problem in processing information through a particular sense. For example, students with auditory processing disorders struggle with information that is presented orally. Dyslexic children have difficulty to process visual information. So, when we use multisensory teaching, no students are left out. To teach the word apple, use a multisensory VAKT approach, that is visual, auditory, kinesthetic and tactile approach. It is a step-by-step approach. In the first step, the teacher presents the visual image of apple, then give auditory information. Teacher spells the word apple. Next, teacher allow the child to trace the word apple in different medium like sand, different types of cloths and other textures. Through these steps, the child gets visual, auditory, tactile and kinesthetic information. This helps the child to learn and store that information in his brain. Multisensory activities for children with different learning styles. Stimulate visual learners through reading books, posters, models, projection screens, flashcards, graphic organizers, puzzles, videos, illustrated reading and field trips. Stimulate auditory learners through read aloud, discussions, lectures and speeches, audiobooks, rhymes and songs. Stimulate tactile kinesthetic learners through games, arts and crafts, hands-on practices, experiments, outdoor activities. Multisensory teaching provides the opportunity to learn through different senses, and this helps students to make stronger connections in the brain. Multisensory teaching works for all kinds of learners. Improve the memory of the children with the use of multisensory exposure. helps to develop multiple paths in the brain, increase the concentration of the students, increase neural plasticity, that is brain's ability to form new connections, develop critical thinking, increase interest in learning. Teaching strategies are techniques which help students to learn the desired course content. Some of the commonly used teaching strategies are peer tutoring, cooperative learning, reflective learning, and multisensory teaching. In peer tutoring, the students teach students. In cooperative learning, students work on small groups, and multisensory teaching, the students learn by using different senses. Through reflective teaching, the teachers can identify the problems in their teaching and overcome the problems. All these strategies help students to learn better. Thank you.